have your breaking news, highlights, Sportsnite showdown, and more, all from a student's perspective, and all here on Sportsnite.
Welcome to Sportsnite. My name is Matt Root, alongside
Vanessa Litchard,
ready to bring you this week's breaking news. Our first story of the night. Last Saturday marked the first meeting between traditional powerhouses, Michigan and Nebraska, since 2013. The opening Big Ten game for both teams was dominated, however, by the Maize and Blue from the very beginning. An interception by safety Josh Metellus on the Cornhuskers' opening drive led to a long run by halfback Karan Higdon. Fullback Ben Mason would punch it in for Michigan's first score and his first of 3 touchdowns on the day. The Wolverines never looked back, holding Nebraska to under 10 rushing yards deep into the fourth quarter. The highlight of the game may have been a 60-yard punt return touchdown by Donovan Peoples-Jones early in the third quarter. Offensively, quarterback Shea Patterson threw for 120 yards and a touchdown until his backup, Dylan McCaffrey, entered the game. McCaffrey was impressive on a 75-yard touchdown run that was called back on a holding penalty. But followed that up with a perfect pass to freshman receiver Ronnie Bell for a 56-yard bomb of a touchdown. Nebraska goes him with a humiliating loss, while Michigan moves to 3-1 on the season and has a date with Northwestern this Saturday.
I was excited to see McCaffrey actually step in the field and start playing.
Yeah, it was pretty nice. Definitely eases any worries of Shea getting hurt and the season ending with a quality quarterback like him backing it up.
Yeah, and hopefully McCaffrey can be as good as his brothers in the NFL and actually, see them in the NFL one day.
Oh yeah, for sure. Let's hope.
Yep. So talking about the NFL, week 3 of NFL came and went this weekend, and quite simply, it was all about the quarterbacks. On Thursday, the Browns' rookie and 2018 first overall selection, Baker Mayfield, had his welcome to the NFL moment, and he came from behind with a victory over the Jets, 21-17, Cleveland's first win since 2016. Second-year sensation Pat Mahomes notched his 3rd consecutive win of the season over the San Francisco 49ers, who lost their $137 million man in Jimmy Garoppolo's for the season to a torn ACL. Carson Wentz made his return from his own ACL injury Sunday in a 2017 win over the Colts. Josh Allen brought a feeling Buffalo Bills units its first win of the season with an electric performance on the road in Minnesota, and Big Ben secured the Steelers' first win of the season in a Monday night showdown with the Buccaneers, 30-27.
So it's kind of weird to think that the Browns have a better record than the Patriots right now.
It's kind of unfortunate because I bet on that game that the Jets would win, and then Mayfield actually stepped up and gave them their first win in a very long time.
Definitely a feel-good story, though.
True.
In other news, tennis annual exhibition tournament, the Laverre Cup, recently wrapped up after another successful run. This men's-only event, named after one of the all-time greats, Rod Laverre, was a head-to-head battle between Team Europe and Team World in Chicago. Team Europe boasted some of the greatest players currently, with the world's number 2 ranked Roger Federer and number 3 ranked Novak Djokovic, while Team World had the top players John Isner and Jack Sock, to go along with the iconic coach John McEnroe. Due to the unique scoring style of the tournament, wins on day 1 were worth 1 point, wins on day 2 were worth 2 points, and wins on day 3 were worth 3 points, with the first team to 13 taking the victory. Team Europe took advantage of their goats as Federer and Djokovic raced out to a 7-1 lead midway through the second day. But Team World fought back thanks to the doubles prowess of Sock and a massive upset by Wimbledon finalist Kevin Anderson, taking a shocking 8-7 advantage. However, it was the new kid on the block, world number 5 Alexander Z, who took 2 wins overall before Federer sealed Team Europe's second victory in the 2 times the tournament has been held, 13-8. With a doubles win, it was a fascinating tournament with some of the best players in the world, and after back-to-back successes, it's clear that the Laverre Cup is here to stay.
But moving on to my favorite topic to talk about in sports, hockey. Monday, the preseason Big Ten hockey rankings were released courtesy of the USCHO poll. The poll release shows our Michigan Wolverines sitting high in the list at number 2, just under our cross-state border rival, Ohio State. Alongside the list, we also see the Big Ten players to watch. This includes 20 of the most exciting players to watch for this upcoming season. Of the 20 players, the top 3 players on the list are all Wolverines, including sophomore, 6th pick overall in the draft, Quinn Hughes, sophomore forward Josh Norris, and junior forward Jake Slaker. If last season is a look into this coming season, then we definitely have a lot to look forward to in the conference of overall Big Ten play. On the pro side of things, the Detroit Red Wings are 3-0 in their preseason, facing off against the Bruins in Boston tonight. Forward Andreas, can never say his last name, leads the preseason with 4 goals and 2 assists as of right now. And Dylan Larkin, our Michigan man, has 1 goal and 3 assists to have his own assist lead for now. You know, I love hockey and could talk about it all day. A thing that I saw over the weekend was that there was a Big Ten poll, and there was, there's 7 teams in the Big Ten, but there was 8 teams on this list. At the bottom was Michigan State, and just above them was the U16 Little Caesars hockey team, because that's how bad Michigan State will be this year.
Wow, that's pretty great. I don't know much about hockey, but I know one thing. Michigan's amazing. We're winning the Big Ten this year.
Go Blue.
In other news, it's the end of September, bringing the final weeks of the MLB regular season, and some playoff races are still too close to be called. The Boston Red Sox have clinched the AL East and the best record in baseball, while the Houston Astros, Cleveland Indians, and Atlanta Braves have all clinched their respective divisions. In the NL Central, the Chicago Cubs hold a half-game lead over the Milwaukee Brewers, and in the West, the LA Dodgers have a half-game lead on the Colorado Rockies. Moving on to the wild card, the AL teams have been decided: the New York Yankees and Oakland A's. However, the team with the better record will get to host the one wild card game. The Yankees' 2.5-game lead on Oakland makes them the likely host, with only 5 games to play. In the NL, the Brewers have all but secured the first wild card spot with a 3.5-game lead, but the NL West loser, currently the Rockies, and St. Louis are in the hunt for the second position. Separated by just half a game, it should be an exciting few days to decide the October playoff field. So it's definitely going to be an interesting pennant race, but the Red Sox have won the most games so far. They're looking really hot. I'm not going to say they're going to win it all this year, but it's going to be, they got a good chance.
Yeah, saying they would win it all can be a little scary, but hopefully, since they've been so successful in their season, they can pull through and actually get a win in the end. Hold up. Next is Hold Up with Alex and Justin.
I think they're going to can them. I mean, they're 1-2 now. They had a strong start against the Lions, and they looked terrible against the Dolphins. I don't know what. Darnold's thrown a pick in every game. He's Bryce Petty. He's thrown a pick in every game. They're going to fire him like Fox got fired in Chicago.
It's not Bowles' fault, man. You got Sam Darnold, the youngest quarterback to start a game in NFL history. And they're just being the Jets. It's just the Jet effect.
That's
right. I don't really know what it is, man.
Same old Jets.
I'm so sick of it, dude.
Same old Jets. Welcome to Hold Up. My name's Alex Fial, co-host Justin Zak. We're here to run down quick topics every week, introduce you to a new segment. It's going to be fast, back and forth discussion on major topics, national and Michigan sports. Let's get it started. Justin, you ready?
Yeah, let's
All right, here we go. Topic number 1. Let's start in the NFL. The Oakland Raiders and the Houston Texans both dropped to 0-3 on Sunday with a loss to the Dolphins and the Giants, respectively. Who needs a win more right now, Jon Gruden or Bill O'Brien? I think I'm going to have to go with Bill O'Brien. I mean, 0-3's got the quarterback from Clemson, national championship winner Deshaun Watson. He's got the pieces around him: DeAndre Hopkins, Lamar Miller, Will Fuller, and the defense. J.J. Watt is back. What are they not doing? They look sluggish. They lost to the Giants, who didn't have a win yet. They're barely running the ball. They can't move it down the field. It's been terrible. I think Bill O'Brien needs to win.
Yeah, but the thing, dude, Jon Gruden, you realize how much money they paid this man, and they're not even competing in games. I mean, they lost to the Dolphins by a little, but they're not a great team. They got embarrassed by the Rams there. And, this guy's supposed to be one of the best coaches in NFL history, if not the best.
It's true.
He's got a talented roster. He's got Derek Carr. He's got Amari Cooper. He's doing nothing with them. So, I don't know. This guy's on the hot seat to me. he'll be done if you're paying that much money and you're not winning anything.
That's true.
Let's go to topic number 2. So Clemson senior quarterback Kelly Bryant announced his transfer from the team today, following his demotion in favor of true freshman Trevor Lawrence. This was pretty crazy, honestly. It was like a bang-bang decision, but you know what? It was the right decision. Trevor Lawrence is a 5-star recruit, the #1 quarterback recruit, and Kelly Bryant is just not getting the job done. He's not living up to what Clemson was. He led them to the playoffs last year, but this guy shouldn't be the starting quarterback if you got Trevor Lawrence to honestly just be
Fair enough, but it's a bottom line business. I understand that. But what kind of message is Dabo Swinney sending to all the guys on the team that are upperclassmen, that are fighting for a roster spot, fighting for a starter spot right now? This is saying that a true freshman, as talented as he is, and I'm not denying the talent, he deserves a chance to play. But Kelly Bryant is a 17-game starter, a senior. He took this team to the college football playoffs last year. I think to throw him on the scrap heap already is unfair to him. It's unfair to the veteran players on the team. I'm not sure what kind of message it's sending for the future. Trevor Lawrence may be the quarterback of the future. He's definitely a talented player. But I think in terms of what you're saying to the team, seniority, I don't know if I agree with it. And you just lost a quality player as a grad transfer, maybe even in the conference.
You see those stats, though, man. Lawrence got an 87 QBR. Bryant's
True.
40. Like, it says it all right there.
True.
Like, he shouldn't be out there, not
True.
for Clemson at least.
On to the next one. Which NFL loss last weekend was more surprising to you? The Patriots losing to the Lions in Detroit or the Vikings losing at home to Buffalo? Personally, for me, I think it was the Patriots. That game was a mortal lock. People were saying after Tom Brady was coming off the loss to the Jaguars, didn't look so sharp, that he was going to have a bounce-back game against a bad Detroit team. That was also a narrative about a former coach, disciple, Matt Patricia, playing his old mentor, Bill Belichick. And what happens? The Lions dusted him. Tom Brady couldn't get anything going. The defense looked sluggish. They were slow, both sides of the ball. I didn't understand what the game plan was from Josh McDaniels. It really was a poor effort from the Patriots. Now they're going to have to come back and bounce back at Foxborough against the Dolphins.
You know what, man? Like, yeah, it's the Patriots, and you don't expect them to lose a game like that. But then they lost. What, they lose by 13 points?
That game was the numbers at the end of the game made it look closer than it was.
Hold up, dude. The Vikings were 16.5-point favorites, and they're losing 27-0 the whole game, except for one cheesy touchdown at the end by Cousins. That was embarrassing. Josh Allen is supposed to be a mess, and he destroyed them. No experience. The Vikings are a Super Bowl favorite in the NFC, and I don't know what happened out there. Defense was awful. Cousins has these sick weapons. He's got Diggs, and he's got Thielen, and he did nothing. So there's major concern there. At home, taking a beating like that. I don't know, man. That was rough. I think Patricia knew Brady's deal, and he got the best of him there. And the Patriots will bounce back. They're the Patriots.
But people were saying that last week. I don't know.
It's a little early. 1-2, they'll be fine. Trust the process.
We'll see. Dolphins are ahead in that division.
All right, let's kick it to topic number 4. 49ers quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo suffered a season-ending torn ACL. Is San Francisco's season over with QB C.J. Beathard? Yeah, I would say it about is, because I've seen this guy play before, and he just wasn't anything special. He's really inexperienced, and they were terrible without Jimmy G. I remember they basically didn't win a game all last year, and then Jimmy G came in and saved the day. So realistically, they got injuries at running back too. I just don't think the personnel is all that great, and Jimmy G is what makes it happen. So without him, I'd say they're out of it.
Well, $137 million man, definitely tough to replace a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo. He had a sluggish start to the season, in my opinion. They were getting a little better, building towards it. They had a much better game against the Chiefs than they did in Week 1 and Week 2. That being said, C.J. Beathard, he's a game manager. I think everyone can agree on that. Team's probably going to be taking a look at getting for Tyrod Taylor from the Browns now that he's been benched over Baker Mayfield. I don't really understand Kyle Shanahan. His offense, it works in mysterious ways, but it is really a potent attack. They scheme for every defensive coordinator in the league. I think they're a really talented team. I don't know that C.J. Beathard, though, is the guy that can bring them to the promised land. Probably another botch rebuilding year for the 49ers in the Bay Area. Going on to question 5. Fitz Magic. He's been the talk of the NFL aside from Pat Mahomes, at least in my opinion. Is Fitz Magic going to continue to start, and should he continue to start?
Tell us about Fitzmagic. We know this man pretty well.
We know
A long
Fitzmagic
2
very
years for
well. As
Fitzmagic.
New York Jets fans, we saw him for 2 years. The Jets signed him to a contract after a record-breaking first year, threw 31 touchdown passes, the most in New York Jets football history. And he came out on fire for the Buccaneers, 2-0. I watched him in that Monday night game. Those 3 picks that he threw early were undoubtedly terrible, but the team mounted a valiant comeback effort. I just don't think the cast that they have on defense is that talented. They upgraded the defensive line, Jason Pierre-Paul, Vinny Curry. They got some good depth guys, but penalties, man, they were all over the place. It was the least disciplined game I've ever seen. I think Fitzpatrick has earned the right to continue to start, but he's going to be on a very short leash going forward, especially with number 1 pick Jameis Winston's contract up in the spring.
Yeah, I got to hand it to him. I mean, he's thrown for over 400 yards every game, but I don't know. I would let him start 'cause he's got the hot hand, but we know Fitzmagic too well. He does the same thing every time. He'll sign as a backup, the starter will get injured, he'll come right back in, he'll play well, get the starting spot, and then he'll suck again and get released. It is a matter of time before Fitzpatrick runs out. Let's let the young Jameis show what he's got, former Heisman winner. This guy's the real deal and should be starting. He's the future. Let's get him rolling.
Would you believe that Fitzmagic, on every team he has signed going back to 2008, the incumbent starter has gotten injured and he has taken over games, or the incumbent starter has been suspended as Jameis Winston has? Trent Green, Carson Palmer. We're going back. We're talking about Jake Locker,
Right.
Ryan Mallett, Geno Smith, uppercut to the jaw.
And now Jameis.
Pretty remarkable.
Yep.
Fitzmagic. You
Exactly.
have talents off the field as well for getting guys
killing me.
injured. Unprecedented. Unprecedented in the National Football
Lucky
League.
man.
Moving on to our final topic of the night, we have the bad bet of the week. We're going to go over a couple teams that we think are bound to be trap bets for this week. Justin, Zach, you kick it off.
All right. I'm going to go on and say the Miami Dolphins. If anyone's going to buy into this 3-0 streak, forget about it. They're still the Dolphins. They've not played any great teams, by the way. They played the Jets, who we discussed what their deal is. They played the sorry Raiders, John Gruden's Raiders. They've been a disaster. And I know the Patriots have been bad so far, but they're going to figure it out. They had a few tough losses, but they're back at Gillette Stadium. Is Brady really going to go 1-3? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
And I don't think the Dolphins personnel is all that great, So I think the Patriots are going to be really prepared for this week and blow them out of the water. It's Dolphins +7. Patriots will win by at least 20. Stay away.
All right, that's impressive. I'm gonna take a shot at your team right now. Rams Vikings Thursday night football. Rams right now -7.5. No chance. There is no chance. This is a divisional battle. Thursday night football, notoriously a slugfest, especially when you got two teams that are competing for a divisional title like the Rams and the Vikings. Vikings are coming off a bad loss at home. I don't think anyone's going to want to beat up on the Rams, especially without their 2 starting cornerbacks. Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen, those 2 guys can play. Kirk Cousins, he is not going to have 2 bad games in a row. I think that they're going to beat up on him. If they don't win the game, I think that they will at least cover, because good teams win, but great teams cover.
All right.
Good teams win, but great teams cover.
Yeah, but
Justin,
this is like gambler's fallacy right here. You're like, oh, he lost the week, he did bad the week before, so now he's going to do good. That's give me a real reason. The Rams have shown no signs. No one has even came close to the Rams. They have been terrific.
I don't know. The Raiders first half in that Oakland game, they were battling with the Rams. I'm not saying it
Raiders
was a
had
ball
a
game.
nice home field advantage.
Not
and
saying
then
it was
after a while the Rams showed they were the
fair.
better team.
Give me the Vikings +7.5 all day.
Give me the Pats. The Dolphins are a joke as usual.
That's all we got for you from Hold Up. I'm Alex Fial. This is Justin Zach. We're joining you guys next week. Thanks so much for being with us. Good night.
Welcome back to Sportsnite. My name is Jerry Goosenberg, and I'm here to kick off another new Sportsnite segment, Hot Takes. Nowadays, it seems like everyone has a bold prediction, so I'm going to give you 3 of my bold predictions and support for those hot takes. Let's get started. So I'm going to start with the sport that's coming up in a few weeks away now. It's crazy. It's the NBA. And the big talk of the NBA is the Los Angeles Lakers getting LeBron James. That was kind of the talk of the off season. Everybody's saying, oh, the chances to win are really high now. You know, LeBron's going to lead this team not only to the playoffs, but to a championship maybe. They're going to be great in the Western Conference, you know, coming off of 8 straight finals appearances. So I'm here to tell you, hot take number 1, the Los Angeles Lakers will not be a top 4 seed in the West. Let's start with the competition that LeBron is facing. So last year, he barely was able to make it out of the East against the Celtics, and this was a Kyrie-less and a Gordon Hayward-less Celtics team. So now we're in the West, where you got to face the Warriors, the Rockets, the Thunder, the Jazz, the Blazers. These guys all have players that are better than the competition LeBron was facing on the East. The Warriors, I don't think I have to really talk about because everybody kind of understands they're starting 5 are all, you know, big-time all-stars, and they'll probably beat the Lakers. That's not really contended against. So we're going to start with the Rockets. So James Harden, the MVP of last season, okay, great. You put LeBron on him. Wonderful. Now you got Chris Paul, you got Clint Capella, you got Eric Gordon shooting threes off the bench. That's just to name a few. Who's going to guard these guys? You look at the team that LeBron has around him. Rajon Rondo, Lance Stevenson, JaVale McGee. These are just guys that were picked up in the offseason, put together. So it's not like they're cohesive as a team, let alone great players to begin with. These guys are at the end of their careers. Who knows what's going to happen with them? And you really have no idea what kind of team this is going to be, let alone defend these players who have been playing elite with each other for the past couple years. So Rockets, way ahead. Now I'm going to move on to the Oklahoma City Thunder, where you have Russell Westbrook, who averaged triple-doubles the past couple years. Who's going to defend him? Okay, fine, LeBron. Now you got Paul George. Who's going to defend Paul George? You don't have anybody to put on Paul George if LeBron isn't there. And then third, now you got Dennis Schroeder on your team as well. Now it's a fast-paced team. They're going to be going quickly with, not only do they have Schroeder, but they also have Russell Westbrook to take both of the to take you down the court. Obviously, LeBron can keep up, but who else? It's an old team. You can't keep up with that. OKC is going to kill the Lakers. And then you got the Utah Jazz as well. So the Jazz have obviously one of the rising stars in Donovan Mitchell, who was the runner-up last year for the Rookie of the Year. So you got him on the outside shooting, driving. Then you got Rudy Gobert, who's arguably the best big man in the game today. Who's going to guard Rudy Gobert? You're not going to put JaVale McGee on him. Mo Wagner, great at Michigan, but can you really trust Mo Wagner to guard a great player like Rudy Gobert? And then you got Joe Ingles, who improved his defense ridiculously, also improved offense, another player. So that's 3 players that only LeBron's supposed to guard because nobody else is going to be able to do that. So those 4 teams right there are better than the Lakers, and the Lakers don't even have a cohesive team right now in order to keep up. So I would say that because of that, there's no way that the Lakers will be able to beat any of the top 4 teams. And then look back to 2012, and the Lakers did sort of a similar thing. They had Kobe Bryant, one of their who was one of the best in the game at the time. They brought the best big man in Dwight Howard. They brought one of the best point guards in at the time in Steve Nash. They had Pau Gasol, who was a great power forward, and Metta World Peace obviously was an all-star small forward a few years before. They put all those guys who are coming from different areas together. You hope they win a championship, and guess what? The 8th seed in the playoffs, out in the first round, it didn't work. This year, yeah, they have LeBron. I get he's the best player in the world. But besides that, the pieces they've put together are much different. They're playing against harder competition, and the team they have is worse than the one in 2012. They don't know how to play with each other. The Lakers will not be a top 4 team in the West, and they'll have to compete with the Blazers for spot number 5. So now we're going to move on to the NFL, where the season is just kind of beginning. So right in the middle, we've seen a few weeks, and so there's not too many upsets, I guess, there as of this moment. But I will talk about one team that I believe the New York Jets. They're favored by. My bad. The New York Jets against the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jags are favored by 7.5. Many people think it's going to be an absolute beatdown. But I'm going to go, and I'm going to tell you, the New York Jets will beat the Jacksonville Jaguars this weekend. I'm going to start with Sam Darnold. Darnold's coming off a week in which he had 169 yards and 2 interceptions, 0 touchdowns. So the first point I want to make is he really can't be much worse. So this past weekend, Darnold, because the game was played on Thursday night, Darnold went to New York City with his friends and was hanging out, trying to get his mind off football and get focused on the following week. to totally forget about his beatdown last week. So you can just totally understand that Darnold's going to be coming in there with a vengeance that he has not had in his first 3 games as a pro. And he is going to go hard against this hard Jags defense, and he's going to try to do all he can to score on that first drive. Plus, the Jets finally have a respectable receiving core. You got Robbie Anderson, who is a totally great deep threat. Last year, he scored in 5 straight games. This year, he scored the first game, been a little off the past couple, but that's just because the whole Jets team has been. But he's a bona fide going deep guy. You got Terrell Pryor, who fits really well in the slot. You got Quincy Enunwa, who's actually coming into his own this year as kind of a top option for Darnold and the Jets. So you got the receiving core. You got Darnold, who's coming in hot this week after such a bad week the past few weeks. And then you got Isaiah Crowell, who's scored 4 touchdowns this year, despite the fact that the Jets really are just a 1-2 team, haven't been that good offensively. Now we're going to flip over to the other side of the ball, where we're looking at the Jets defense, which has been pretty good this year. 2 touchdowns, 5 picks, and 2 fumble recoveries to this point in the season. Now we're looking at the offense of the Jaguars and Blake Bortles, which side of the spectrum are you going to get? You're going to get it 2 weeks ago against the Patriots, where he threw just incredibly 4 touchdowns, looked like he was the best quarterback in the league, looked like the Tom Brady that week, or you're going to get the Blake Bortles of the Titans, where he only led his team to 6 points. I think it's going to be somewhere kind of in the middle, but more towards the Titans, because Blake Bortles, as we've seen the past couple years, really just does not take risks. He does not throw the ball down the field, and the Jacksonville Jaguars do not score very many points. They mostly just rely on their defense to keep them in ball games. But what the Jaguars usually rely on is their running back game, with Leonard Fournette leading the pack and T.J. Yeldon as the 3rd down guy. But now Leonard Fournette's coming in with a hamstring injury. He hasn't played the last 2 games. Who knows if he's even going to play this week, let alone if he does, he'll probably be hampered a little bit by his injury. And then T.J. Yeldon also has an ankle injury, so you don't know what you're going to get from there. And then the Jags defense last week gave up 15 points to the Giants. So if they can do anything, even if the Jets can score even 15, because they have a better offensive line than that terrible Giants O-line, I think that's good enough for them to get that victory. So when it comes down to it, I think Darnold is going to come out fire and score a touchdown on his first drive. Maybe the Jets score a few more points over the course of the game. Blake Bortles simply can't get it done because he hasn't been able to do it offensively the past few years. Jets win 17-13. So that's going to lead me to my final hot take of the week, which is in the MLB, which is just winding down this year, last week of the season. So a lot of teams are thinking the Red Sox have a great shot at winning the World Series, the Yankees have a good shot at winning the World Series, the Astros, the Indians. Most people think it's going to be the AL. Some people think it's going to be the NL, maybe the Cubs, maybe the Dodgers. But I'm sitting here thinking, what about the Brewers? My hot take is the Brewers are going to win the World Series in 2018. So the main way that you win a World Series in postseason baseball is with the bullpen. That's how you do it. And because at the first few weeks of the postseason, your team you play back-to-back games all the time. Your bullpen just gets absolutely destroyed, and it comes down to who has more strong arms, who can withstand it, because in the beginning of the games, you're just going to get hit back and forth. It's always close games until the 7th inning, 8th, and 9th. And then it's who's going to win the games in those late innings. Let's look at the Brewers' relief corps. It's absolutely incredible. You got, to start, Joaquin Soria. Originally the closer on the White Sox this year. This guy's come in with a 3.28 ERA and 16 saves in the year. So he has experience in the 9th inning this year and in previous years. And he has a solid 3.2 ERA. Then you're looking at a guy, Jeremy Jeffress, who has an incredible 1.35 ERA. He has 12 saves in the year as well, but he gets put in all the tightest situations, and he's been able to be incredible, just like he was a couple years ago when he was on his first stint with Milwaukee. So you got 2 guys you can totally count on. Now we're putting in Corey Knebel, who has a 3.86 ERA. He was the starter at the beginning of the year, so he has 16 saves. 3.86 may be a little iffy, but if you look at him recently, he's hit, in all of September, he's had 13 appearances, 0 earned runs. And if you see his stuff, you know this guy is nasty. All he has to do is locate his pitches, and nobody can hit this guy. This is a guy who was arguably the best reliever in the National League last year. He was an all-star last year. And then finally, the nasty man himself, Josh Hader. This lefty is absolutely unhittable. He has been the whole year. Looking at a 2.3 ERA with 11 saves. So that's 4 guys that they have with over 10 saves. Almost unheard of for a team. So there's almost no way that a team is going to be able to score lots of runs off this bullpen in the postseason. So yes, their starting rotation may not be great, but as long as their starting rotation can go 5 or 6 innings, hand it off to these guys to do the rest of the work, a better bullpen than any other team in the National League, and competes with anybody in the American League, I think that there's no way a team can beat the Brewers in the later innings. Now let's go to the offense of the Brewers. They're the perfect balance between veteran leadership and a young core group of players. Start with Christian Yelich, the MVP frontrunner for this year. After his incredible week, he has 2 cycles this season. You got Jesus Aguilar really coming into his own this year with 33 home runs, over 100 RBIs. You got Lorenzo Cain, who's leading the National League in WAR for most of this year. You got Travis Shaw, over 30 home runs. You got Mike Moustakas now in the veteran leadership, who plays a great third base. He's been there before, and he won the 2015 World Series with the Royals. You got Ryan Braun, a former MVP, off the bench. You got Curtis Granderson, who's been there in the 2015 World Series with the Mets. He was there last year in the World Series with the Dodgers. You got Eric Thames, who people forget just one year removed from his 30 home run year, breakout year last year. So they got this perfect balance of veteran leadership, young talent, and a great bullpen. Those are the keys that you need to win a World Series. So I think we got to start taking the Brewers more seriously. Your 2018 World Series champions, the Milwaukee Brewers. So that's going to do it from me on this episode of Hot Take. Next week, you can come see us out on the streets as we'll be interviewing random people. So, Hot Takes won't be in this hot studio, but rather in the hot environment of Ann Arbor before it gets, a little too cold in the coming months. So for myself, Jerry Goosenberg, thank you very much for watching Sportsnite. Have a great day.